Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Wednesday, May 25th. And gosh, Mark, the month of May has blown by. All it took was you getting COVID for a while and me traveling a little bit in April. And boom, we're practically in June. So here we are. I'm very much anticipating a weird Memorial Day weekend, though, because Mark, I'm going to be in the city for Memorial Day weekend. I haven't been in the city for a long weekend like this in a long time. So I'm hopeful that I'll get into a good restaurant and not have to, do my normal 5:30 and sit wherever I want. What do you think of that plan?
Holiday weekends are often a good time to be in the city.
Exactly right. Well, listen, if you want to know what's going on here in New York City for Memorial Day weekend, give us a shout. Or if you've got a financial question, give us a shout. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click on the Contact Us button. Let us know if you would like to come on the air. Today, we're chatting with Jennifer, who is from the Pacific Northwest. How about that, Jennifer? No one knows where you are and who you are, really. So welcome to the program. What can we do for you today?
Well, I have the question, when can I retire? This has gone on way too long. I always thought I was doing okay until I started listening to your show and people are like, oh, I got $4 million in a pension. And so now I'm trying to figure out if I'm doing okay and if I'm doing things right.
All right. Well, listen, first of all, people always say that to me like, oh, everyone on your show is so rich. It's like everybody's got a different story. We may be able to make things work for you in a different way. So tell us about yourself, Jennifer. How old are you?
I am 53 and
Okay.
I am the sole earner of my family. My husband is 58. He's a stay-at-home dad. And I have a kid that's 12 that will be going to college, probably out of state.
Oof. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that was a bad decision. Can't we just he's only 12. We can make him go to public school if we have to. Are you willing to forego your child's education so you can retire?
Oh, God, that's a good one. I guess I have to be, right? It's the whole put the face mask on yourself first.
I guess, let's see. Let's see if we can do everything. How about that?
Okay.
All right. So, Jennifer, how much do you earn?
I earn about 150 and I have stock options and ESPP. I don't know how big that comes into the equation, but that's part of my question.
Are the stock options in the money right now? In other words, is there an embedded gain in those options right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not huge. Right now, I think it's at about like 80 grand vested.
All right. And what about the employee stock purchase plan? How much in there?
About 75 in ESPP. And let me go back. It was actually about 50K in vested RSUs.
Okay. On your 150 grand a year, how much are you contributing to retirement?
I'm doing the max, and then my company does another 4 grand.
And when you say the max, you mean 20,500 plus the catch-up contribution because you're over the age of 50?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay, so 27 grand is going in there, plus 4,000 from the employer, which is great. How much money is in your retirement plan right now?
My current job, it's about 130. I have a 401k from a previous company that I rolled over to a IRA with Vanguard, and that's about 575.
All right, so 575 in a rollover, and the 130 that's in your current 401k, is that a Roth or is that a pre-tax plan?
They're both just regular 401ks, but I do have the option to do Roth. I just don't understand it enough.
Is that it for retirement assets, the old retirement account and the current one?
Yes.
Does your husband have an IRA, like a spousal IRA that he's contributed to?
So he's got a 350 inherited IRA.
Oh, when did he inherit that?
2014.
Under the old rules. So the new rules are that you have to take the money out. All the money has to come out within 10 years. Now, but your old rules, you're in under the old rules, which is you can dribble it out. Basically, you can stretch it out for a longer time. So he's got the inherited IRA's 350. Any other assets that he has?
He's got a 50K rollover IRA from another job. He's got a 25,000 inherited Roth.
And what about for you guys? Any brokerage accounts? Do you have any non-retirement assets?
Yes, we have a joint brokerage account with 560. I have an individual brokerage account with about 55. I have a super old brokerage from an old ESPP. It's 12. That is about it for I think that's it for the
How about money in the bank?
I have about 20 in cash and then another 12 in cash inside of that joint brokerage account.
Okay. What about life insurance? Are you insured?
We are. We both have policies for 500K each.
Term life insurance?
Yes, I believe so.
Here's the big question.
hmm
You look at all the money you've saved, you've done a fantastic job. Do you have an idea of how much you need to live on? Because that's going to help us determine about when you think you might be able to retire. So, do you have an idea?
I do.
Like,
I do.
what's that?
Oh, and I also have a 529. We'll get back to that, but that's
Oh,
my
wait,
main
wait.
question.
Okay, what's the 529 plan? How
I
much
have,
is the
I have a
balance?
529 of 70.
Okay.
I'm starting to give 500 a month to that.
Okay, let's get back to expenses.
Okay.
And then, so don't include the money you're saving, just like what it costs to live your lives.
I think it's about 75K without mortgages. If with mortgages, about 100K.
You said mortgages. Are there
Yeah.
2 homes?
Yeah, there's 2 homes. There is the current home that we live in that I refinanced in 2020 for 2.65.
Oh my God. Is it a
I know.
30-year?
It's a 30-year.
What's the outstanding mortgage balance on that?
About 350.
What's the house worth?
Probably about 950 or a million.
Oh my God.
It's
Okay.
nuts. It's nuts.
It's fantastic. Okay. Thank goodness you refinanced. What an amazing job you did. Okay. Second home?
Second home is a rental, also refinanced in 2021. I refinanced that as a 15-year
Mhm.
for 2.75.
What's the outstanding mortgage balance on that?
220.
What's it worth?
Probably about 650 or 700.
Does it generate a lot of income for you guys?
No, with the refinance, after I pay that mortgage, about 500 extra dollars, and we just keep that in account in case something goes wrong with the house, right? For
How do
any
you
kind
feel
of
about
maintenance.
this house? Do you like this house? Is it a house you could live in yourselves? Like, what's the game plan here?
We could live there in a pinch. It is in an area where people want to live, so there's always going to be rental income.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I look at it as an investment that is going to keep working throughout my kid's life too. But we could retire in a pinch. Yeah, we could sell the main house and move to that house.
Or would you sell that house so let's say that kiddo does not do something smart like go to state school, which would be very excellent if kiddo would do such a thing. But let's just pretend. Let's say kid gets into Stanford and you're like, all right, kid's getting into Stanford. I got to pay the bill, right? Would you be willing to sell the rental home to pay for college?
Yeah,
Okay.
I would.
I mean, I just want to make sure we're on the same page on this. All right. That's really why I'm asking that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you're going to have to. I just want to make sure that we know that. So now, you ready for your magic question?
Yeah.
You said to me when we started, when can I retire? When do you want to retire?
I would love to stop doing this by 60. I just can't. I'm in tech and I can't anymore.
You're exhausted.
Yeah, I'm just too old for this. Yeah.
You're not too old. I just interviewed this woman about aging and ageism, and I have to start giving you better messaging about aging, which is like, of course you're not too old. It's just you may want to try to do something different. So here's my big question for you, Jennifer. Would you do something different? In other words, if I said to you, yeah, do this for the next 7 years, right? Like, let's get your kid through high school, right? You pay for all that stuff. Now the kid's in college and you got your game plan. Would you be willing to do something between, say, age 60 and 67? Would you do something?
Yes.
Part-time-ish, right?
Part-time. Yeah. Yeah. And the husband will go back to work
Oh, okay. All right. That's very big. That's good to know.
But his
Okay.
earning potential is not high.
Okay, but let's think about this. Do you think that you guys together could basically float your expenses working part-time?
Yeah, if we could hit that 75.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
75 or 100 grand, like each of you making 50 grand?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, that's good to know. Would you be entitled to any pensions in the future?
No.
Okay.
Sadly, no.
Because one of the reasons I want you to work is that I need you to get health insurance.
Right.
Okay, so that's going to be an issue. Next question for you. Do you know your Social Security benefit? Have you ever looked that up yet?
I have. I
What's
listened to your show. I know all about it. If I was to retire at 67,
Mm-hmm.
my retirement age, it's $3,200 a month.
Great.
If I wait till 70, it's $4,000.
53 to 60 We have her continuing to make the maximum contribution to her retirement account. She gets the $31,000 a year into her current 401k, right? She also will be putting some money into the 529, the 500 a month into the 529, and essentially letting everything kind of grow as is. I'm going to talk to you about the stock options and the ESPP in a second. But Mark, do you think that, remember, we got that inherited IRA also? So there's like a good chunk of money here. This is actually a when you started telling me the story, I was like, I don't know. But now we got the joint account, we got the inherited IRA. I mean, there's real money here. Mark, what do you think? They on track or not?
Definitely on track. It's funny because like when we first started talking to her, she kind of painted a picture like, I don't know what I'm doing, but they got a lot of money saved. They seem to know what they're doing.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about this game plan, actually. So if you didn't have that big joint account, are you contributing to that right now or not? Or is that just growing on its own?
That's just growing on its own.
Okay.
It's 80-20. All the accounts are 80% stock, 20% bonds, which I don't know if that's wise. That may be a little too aggressive at my age.
Well, I wish you'd told me this a year ago.
I
know. It's not so much your age. It's just like when you need your money. You don't need your money anytime so soon. So the first thing I want to ask you about is, are you putting new money into the ESPP?
Yes, I'm doing 5%.
Don't do that anymore.
Oh,
Forget
okay.
that.
Okay.
Forget that.
Okay.
And I'm sure you work for a great company, and I could almost guess which one of like 5 that might be, but don't do that anymore. I almost would prefer you take that money and let's just use that and put that in the 529 plan. That's fine.
Okay.
You got plenty of risk on the table. They award you those RSUs, right?
Yes. The
All
RSUs,
right.
you get taxed whether the day they vest, you get taxed, which I didn't know until this year. And then
hello, wake up, right? Like
right.
that was an interesting surprise.
And then I'm going to cash them as soon as they are at the vested price. Like the day they vest, I'm going to cash so I don't have the tax.
Okay, good.
Implications.
So what are you going to do with the money that's in those RSUs? And what are we going to do with your ESPP? So the ESPP right now, what's the tax liability?
It's long term. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. Is it long or short term?
Most are long term by now. Most are long term.
I mean, look, depending on what you do with the stock options and your tax situation, I might, start to get rid of some of this stuff. You're going to be taxed at 18.8%, maybe. Maybe it's going to be 15, but 18.8 or 15. It's something in that area. It depends on how much you exercise. If you keep your income, this net investment income rate is this extra 3.8%. Do you work with an accountant or a CPA for taxes?
I don't. I do my own.
I mean, you just want to just have a little look-see and note, like, when I sell this stuff, am I pushing my income up? So what you'll find is, if your income as a married filing jointly person, your modified adjusted gross income, which if you do it yourself with your own software, you'll be able to see this number. If you pop up over 250,000, you'll be paying an 18.8% rate on long-term capital gains. If you are below 250, you're at 15. And I would sell any asset that you own right now at 15% for sure. And I would redeploy it and I'd pop it into your 529 plan. Let's just pretend we sell your RSUs, you pay your tax, and there's 30 grand that's left over. I mean, you have to make sure you don't go over the limit for this year, but you guys can put $32,000 a year into the 529. And then if that's the case, if you do that, if you've maxed out for this year and maybe you wait on January and you do it again, then you'll have that extra $500 a month that you're not going to necessarily put in the 529, put in your brokerage account.
Do I have enough on my 529 though? Will I have enough?
Well, you will. Like, let's say that you got 70 right now. Let's say you put in 30 this year, then you put in 30 next year. And maybe I would use like the RSUs as a way to fund your 529 plan. And just like bang that out. And eventually, I think you'll be okay. I don't think it's going to be like perfect, because what do we have? 5-6 years about? So if you put in 6 times 32 and, we get that 30 grand a year in there, I think that's where we're going to see the biggest bang for your buck. And if you had to, let's say you have to put a little money in from the brokerage account. Big deal. Like you'll be able to do it. Like, because you're going to have, let's say, almost $300,000 by the time the kid is going to school. Let's say at that time it's 75 grand a year. So you could pay for half, we'll see, but you should be able, you could dip into your brokerage account to pay for some of it, the joint account to pay some of it. By that time, if you said, I don't want to touch it, there'll be a lot of options. You could use the inherited IRA maybe, because maybe by the time your guys are 60, maybe in the middle of college, it would be a good time to pull money out of that inherited IRA because you'll say, we're in a low tax bracket. Let's use that money because you're making less money. But we'll have many more decisions to make between now and then. In 15 years, the other thing that happens is right when you're like sort of thinking about retirement, you can do the mortgage will be paid off on the rental property. You could either move in there or you could sell it, pay the tax and move on and take some money and add it to the whole equation. I think you're in very good shape. I really do. So you should feel proud of yourself for everything you guys have accomplished. You really should.
Thank you. That's great news. That's great news. Thank you.
It is. Do you have your estate documents ready?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. Just make sure you get that done. Pretty much. I know that's a big lie, but whatever. For God's sakes.
I have something. It needs to be redone. It wasn't a great attorney, so we need to do it again. But for the most part, it's still solid because there's just the one kid. It's fairly simple and straightforward.
All right. Just make sure we have the most important thing you need in all of these estate documents right now is guardianship for the kid. So if you guys were, got in a car accident or something terrible, and most importantly, that is probably more likely than any other scenario at this point in your lives is a healthcare proxy. What do I want to happen if something bad were to occur in my life? Let's deal with those issues and then you'll be good. You'll be good to go. You get the Jill and Mark stamp of approval. Another happy person. Jennifer,
can I ask one more thing?
Sure. Yes.
What do I need to do about a Roth IRA? I don't have a Roth. Is that something I need?
Well, you have that inherited Roth. Mark is going to want you to do it, but I want to make sure we get you through these next 7 years. You've got plenty of money in a brokerage account. Yeah, you could make a contribution to your traditional plan through work. I wouldn't do this right away because if we're going to start selling off your RSUs, I do want to actually keep your income low. So the idea here is that the reason why I like you making a contribution to a traditional right this second is that I know you're going to have a tax liability when you sell your RSUs. I want to try to keep that income under $250 so that when you sell off RSUs and your ESPP, that we don't have that extra 3.8% surtax that's popped on top of it. I think that for the next couple of years at least, we do the traditional and then we'll see where you stand. You're going to have a lot of money. You're going to have like an embarrassment of riches. You're going to look back on this and you're going to be like, oh, remember when I was worried about money? And you're going to say, oh, life is good. I've done a good job. I'm a good doobie. I've saved and done the right thing. And you have.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Now, ready? Let's take a deep breath together. Take a deep breath with me, Jennifer. Feels good, doesn't it? Yeah, that's it. That is the feeling you have when you get in touch with us. So if you would like to have that peace of mind, that nice, long, deep breath with whatever's going on in your financial life, just go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button. Let us know if you'd like to come on the air. We'd love to have you. And remember, we've got all sorts of great content on the website. We've got our other podcasts. We've got a radio show. We've got my blog. We've got my TV appearances. There's a resources section. Everything is right there for you. Don't forget to sign up for the free weekly newsletter. And if you wouldn't mind, please leave us a rating and review. Please try to also lift someone up today. See, we just lifted up Jennifer and it feels so good to me. Grit, growth, grace. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.